Harihi Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So we will just remind ourselves the part of 11th chapter that we went through. So we were discussing that in the previous chapters, namely 7, 9, and 10, Krishna was describing his nature and his opulences. And particularly in 10th chapter, he described them very much in details, giving many examples. For example, from the river I am Ganges, from the mountains I am the Himalayas, from the big reservoir of water I am the ocean, from the planets I am the sun, and so on and so on. So now, in the beginning of 11th chapter, Arjuna said, Krishna, you described all these opulences to me. Can you now show them to me? Now I want to see them. And Srila Prabhupada was explaining that Arjuna does not want to see them for himself because he completely believes Krishna, but for the people, in order to believe that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna wanted Krishna to show his universal form. And Srila Prabhupada also is explaining for people in the future who will say that they are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can immediately challenge them. Okay, if you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, show me your universal form. So this is like a proof that Krishna is really the Supreme Personality of Godhead, showing this amazing form.
I just want to say, it's interesting that Krishna establishes, Bhagavad-gita establishes the standard for God, who is God, the criteria, and also establishes the standard for a devotee. Who is the devotee? Krishna is God, and Arjuna is the example for a real devotee. Why? Because Arjuna accepts everything that Krishna says. And not only that, but he is also applying it and follows in practical life. So we have God and we have the devotee. Both are established very clearly. Any deviation from these two criteria, standards, will lead to confusion.
Yes, and then Arjuna saw in this universal form many amazing things, wonderful things. But at some point, he is seeing how all the soldiers from both armies are actually entering into the mouth of this huge universal form, and they are just smashed into pieces. And then he's bewildered and he doesn't know what to make out of it. And then he's asking Krishna, so tell me, who are you and what is your mission? And then Krishna is speaking, Kalos me. Yeah. I am the time, the great destroyer of the world. And with exception of you, Pandavas, everyone on the two sides of the battlefield will be killed. So basically, Krishna is revealing his plan. And then he's saying to Arjuna, everything is already predestined. Now you can be just an instrument in my hands. Bhavita matram bhava savya sachi. Become an instrument in my hands. And we spoke on this place that, yes, this is a very important point for us. That means Krishna already has a plan. He has a plan for us. He has a plan for what will happen in the world. Now we can be part of this plan or not. And Pandava Prabhu was giving a nice example that in the same way, in the mission of Lord Chaitanya, this Sankirtan movement, everything is already done. The blueprint is already there. It's already predestined what will happen. Now the question is, are we going to take part in it, or we'll just stay somewhere aloof? And if we take part, it doesn't matter how much, Krishna will give us a credit for this. Krishna already did the whole job, but he wants to give the credit to his devotees. So this is his desire. And if we are willing to take part, we will get the benefit. And then Arjuna offered very beautiful prayers to Krishna from verses 36 to 46. And we had a small discussion. We were discussing some of those verses. And now we have the last section to go through.
These are verses 47 through 55. Only the pure devotees can see Krishna's two-armed form. You recall? So Krishna says that no one before Arjuna has ever seen this universal form. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, happily have I shown you by my internal potency this supreme universal form from within the material world. No one before you has ever seen this primal form, unlimited and full of glaring effulgence. O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine, for neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charity, nor by pious activities, nor by severe penances can I be seen in this form in the material world." Srila Prabhupada explains in his purport to verse 48. So one can perform all this. He can accept bodily penances, give charity, study the Vedas, etc. But unless he's a devotee like Arjuna, it is not possible to see that universal form. Those who are impersonalists are also imagining that they are seeing the universal form of the Lord. But from Bhagavad-gita we understand that the impersonalists are not devotees. Therefore, they are unable to see the universal form of the Lord. So this is very important. So first of all, only through devotional service we can see the Lord. And we can easily try to understand why is this so, because also we ourselves, we are personalities, Krishna is a person, we are not inclined to reveal ourselves to persons who are not close to us. So somebody has to win over our heart by basically how? By performing devotional service, right? To us. That's how it works. Otherwise, we will not be inclined to share our thoughts, our feelings, etc. At the same time, in the same way, imagine somebody is very knowledgeable or very beautiful or very announced. You don't care so much. The important thing is what is his or her mood towards you. That's what you're looking for. He may be a very qualified person, but if he doesn't care about you, then in the same way, Krishna is not impressed by Vedic studies, by charity, of course he likes these things because they're pious, but this doesn't mean that he will reveal himself. He can award the prize. He can give you the result of all this nice pious work, but doesn't mean that he will reveal himself. So this is one point. And the second, here Prabhupada says that the impersonalists are imagining that they are seeing the universal form of the Lord. But from Bhagavad-gita we understand that the impersonalists are not devotees. Therefore, they are not actually seeing the universal form. They don't see anything, any form of the Lord. Well, you can say they see the universe, but when part of the universe. But when these people who are not devotees, they claim that they have seen Krishna, there are people like this. They come and they say, I saw God. So here what Prabhupada says, well, we have to see whether they are devotees. If they are devotees, advanced devotees, for them it's possible to see Krishna. But if they are non-devotees, then it's not possible. So they have seen something else, a clear, very simple criteria. Okay?
We were discussing previous time, Bhagavan Narhari Prabhu was rise of the discussion that there are people, they are like, here it is, give an example with impersonalist. They accept, yes, they accept that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the universe, and they try to some extent to personify the universe. And they say, okay, this part of the universe represents something, this part of the universe represents something. Yogis are also doing this. So they basically imagine that Supreme Personality of Godhead is the universe. And this is some kind of devotion. Krishna was explaining in 9th chapter.
It's Virat Rupa.
These are one of the people who worship him, but they are doing this in a very indirect way. But this cannot be in any way compared with the universal form that Arjuna is seeing. Because Srila Prabhupada in one of the purports made the point that Arjuna is not seeing this form just by change of the
mind.
How to say, yes.
But the change of the vision.
Yes. It's not just a question of changing how you perceive the things with the change of your mind. It's rather he has like a revelation. Krishna is giving him special mercy, and he sees something that others they cannot see. Like everybody can imagine, oh yes, the trees there, the hairs on the gigantic body of the Lord, the mountains there, the bones of the Lord, and the rivers there, the veins of the Lord. Everybody can imagine this just by adjusting your mind, and you start thinking, yes, when I see river, I have to think this. But this is not the same like Arjuna. Arjuna, he saw in front of him on one place all these things. So it's a different story altogether.
Prabhuji, then you think like other
Krishna,
4 or 5 devotee also
Krishna
saw.
says, you have been perturbed and
seeing the same
bewildered by
thing?
seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free again from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire. This is verse 49. Then Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, having spoken this to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form, and at last showed his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, O Janardana, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind, and I am restored to my original nature. You want to read something? Okay.
Yes. So these are verses 50 and 51.
And before that, 49.
We can read the purport to verse 50. Maybe Noah can read it, but please come closer so that they can hear it. Purport to verse 50.
When Krishna appeared as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, he first appeared as a four-armed Narayan, but when he was requested by his parents, he transformed himself into an ordinary child appearance. Similarly, Krishna knew that Arjuna was not interested in seeing a four-handed form, but since Arjuna asked to see his four-handed form, Krishna also showed him this form again, and then showed him his two-handed form. The word
Saumyavapu.
Samyavapu is very significant. Samyavapu is a very beautiful form. It is known as the most beautiful form. When he was present, everyone was attracted simply by Krishna's form. And because Arjuna and his devotee, and because Krishna is the director of the universe, he just banished the fear from Arjuna, his devotee, showed him again his beautiful form of Krishna. In Brahma Samrita 5:38, it is stated, Pramananjana Chorita Bhakti Vilokchana Chanena Only a person whose eyes are smeared with the ointment of love can see the beautiful form of Krishna.
Nice. Thank you. So basically, yeah, this is the most special form of Krishna. And in the next verse in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying, here the words Manusham Rupam clearly indicate the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be originally two-handed. So the most intimate form of the Lord is Manushya Rupa. It looks like human form. But actually it is not, because we know from Brahma Samhita that the form of the Lord is Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. It's a eternal form, it's full of knowledge and it's full of bliss. But the idea is that from all different manifestations of the Lord, this is the most special form. And everything else is emanating from this form. The four-handed form, the universal form, all the emanations of Krishna, all the incarnations, all are coming from this form. Srimad Bhagavatam is saying, Etecham Shakala Pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Svayam. Krishna has so many avatars and incarnations, kalas, amshas, pumsar, all kinds of different emanations. But Krishnastu Bhagavan Svayam. Krishna is the Supreme Lord himself, the original form of the Lord. So this is the most special form of the Lord.
So then the Supreme Personality of God. Okay, so about this human form, some people say, well, because we are humans, we imagine that our God has a human form. If, let's say, the horses, if they had conceived of the idea of God, they would have a horse as a God, and etc. You know, it's called anthropomorphism, and it goes back to ancient Greece. You know, there was one guy who thought he's very clever. Forgot his name, Xenophans or something. So he was saying that the gods of the Egyptians, they look like Egyptians. The Thracian gods look like Thracians, and the Greek gods, they look like Greeks. So obviously, people just manufacture this in their brain, in their imagination. So we have very simple answer. Krishna has many forms. He has a form like actually Hayagriva, like a horse. Then he has a form as Hansa Rupa, which is swan, and then he has Nishinga. So this argument clearly doesn't apply to the Vedic philosophy. It's too shallow. It's too stupid, too foolish argument, and it's not only it's not smart, but it's not true anyway. So then, Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, this form of mine you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form, which is so dear. The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas,
53,
nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by this means that we can
one can see me.
That one can see me as I am. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding." Srila Prabhupada explains in his purport to verse 54, Krishna can be understood only by the process of undivided devotional service. Undivided meaning ahaitukya pratihata. That means
undeviated means bichuto
selfless
in
and uninterrupted. And undivided also in the
Bengali
sense
is
that
called bichuto.
doesn't go in different directions. It's for Krishna. So in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is explained, Rupa Goswami explains the definition of Uttama Bhakti. And there, from this definition, we understand that devotional service should be for Krishna. And Krishna means Krishna, his expansions, and his pure devotees. So this is the proper object. Okay, Krishna can be understood only by the process of undivided devotional service. He explicitly explains this in this verse so that unauthorized commentators who try to understand Bhagavad-gita by the speculative process will know that they are simply wasting their time. No one can understand Krishna or how he came from parents. Didn't you just read this? Or?
No.
Okay. Or how he came from parents in a 400 form and at once changed himself into 200 form. These things are very difficult to understand by study of the Vedas or by philosophical speculation. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that no one can see him or enter into understanding of these matters. Those who, however, are very experienced students of Vedic literature can learn about him from the Vedic literature in so many ways. There are so many rules and regulations, and if one at all wants to understand Krishna, he must follow the regulative principles described in the authoritative literature. So in other words, this is a science. It is not just imagination or method speculation or whimsical, sentimental mood. It's a process of spiritual science. Okay. So you want to read something?
Yes. So dear devotees,
Yes, Prabhuji. Go ahead.
just wanted to pay attention to one thing in verse 53. Krishna is saying, Naham Vedayar na tapasana danenana chijaya. I cannot be understood neither by studying the Vedas, Vedayar na tapasa, nor by performing tapasya, na danena, nor by giving charity, na chejaya, not by worship. So one may say, okay, I understand why he cannot be understood by studying the Vedas or by performing tapasya or by giving in charity. But what do you mean he cannot be understood by worship? I mean, isn't it what we are trying to do?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Are we trying to worship Krishna? And if so, why he is saying here that he cannot be understood by worship? What is the meaning of this? What do you think?
Doesn't acknowledge like the rasa.
It's
How, like, why Krishna is saying that he cannot be understood?
love and devotion.
What is the idea? I thought that we are worshipping him so that he reveals himself.
Not a universal form.
Something more?
Good beginning.
Someone else? Some suggestions, some ideas?
Yes, Prabhuji, can I?
Why Krishna is saying
Do you
that
hear
he
me?
cannot be achieved by worship, and this is what we are trying to do. So, is that means we are just
Wasting your time.
yes?
Service. Need to do service, not just worship.
But worship is service.
Also,
Krishna,
This is the catch here.
Prabhu, Krishna
But I
responds
like your
by
point. Okay.
loving.
We accept your point. But
Oh, okay.
There's more to it.
there is more to it.
Could it be that
Our
Krishna
Do you hear
he
us,
accepts?
listeners are,
Hello. Oh.
they don't know what to say.
They are
Hello?
only listening.
Can
Any
you?
ideas?
No, I think you guys not
They don't
listening.
want to interact so much.
I don't think they can
Tonight.
hear us. Prabhu.
No, I think
Hare Krishna.
you don't hear us.
No
Prabhuji,
ideas.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't think
Krishna,
they
no.
hear
We
us.
have to give
Prabhu.
you the
I don't
answer,
think they can
although
hear
it's not
us.
so much fun like that. But no problem.
Oh
So
my
Krishna
goodness.
is explaining that
Okay.
Hare.
yeah, I don't hear you.
Yeah, we are speaking.
I don't hear. Why I don't
Nobody.
hear you?
Yeah, you guys not
They
hearing
don't
us.
hear us. Prabhu, can you hear me?
You're
Yeah, that's what I
muted?
say.
Can you hear me?
What's the
Oh
problem?
my goodness. You can't hear us. Mm-mm-mm.
No.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Prabhu,
Krishna,
does
you don't hear us.
somebody hear? Hare Krishna.
No.
No.
Mataji, I'm trying
Let's
texting.
see.
Let's see.
Just 1 second.
Oh.
What do you think? And
Anyway, so we
No,
don't
you
hear
don't.
you. So what to do?
More.
Chat.
1 second.
Goodness.
Can we rejoin?
Anyway, just leave.
Mm.
Can we rejoin? Well, I don't think that's the problem.
It's maybe one of these settings up top.
Anyway, no problem. Looks like it's arrangement of Krishna. So, dear devotees,
Hare
if you have
Krishna.
something important to say, I mean,
You don't hear.
They're not
I
hearing us.
see.
Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
Jared, I said Hare Krishna. This is the universal answer
Are
to
you-
all questions.
are you
So
able
we
to have-
accept it.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I don't
Prabhuji?
know why we cannot hear you.
Huh?
But the good thing is that you
I-
can hear us. That's the most important.
No, I hear you. Do you hear me?
So anyway, Srila Prabhupada is explaining that
They don't hear.
Krishna cannot be achieved
No, they
by
don't hear.
someone who goes in the temple and performs some worship, performs some puja, and he is thinking that now Krishna is obliged to reveal himself. Krishna is not obliged. Krishna is completely independent. He is Swarat. So we can worship him, but it does not necessarily mean that he will reveal himself to us. He keeps this freedom to reveal to some people and not to reveal to others, although they can also worship him. So this is what Srila Prabhupada is explaining. That's why Krishna is saying, by these ways, he cannot be achieved. You can study the Vedas, Krishna may reveal himself or not. You can give lots of charity, Krishna may decide to reveal himself or not. You can go to the temple and do your puja, Krishna may reveal himself or not. But what the next verse was explaining, that Pandava Prabhu read, verse 54, Bhaktya tu ananya shakya. If someone is worshipping Krishna with this mood of complete devotion and love, and it's unalloyed, pure love, then Krishna cannot do anything. Krishna cannot do anything. Krishna is just, he is in one verse in Bhagavatam, Krishna is saying, I am not at all independent. Actually, I am completely dependent on my devotees because of their love for me. And that's why I always reside in their hearts. So by all these physical methods, Krishna is not obliged to appear. But if someone is reciprocating with him with this mood of complete devotion and love, then the things are changing. Like sometimes we are practicing bhakti yoga and we are missing the point. We think that the process of bhakti yoga is something like the process of impersonal practice. That okay, I'll do something, and then Krishna, he has to do his thing after that. He's obliged to do whatever. But in bhakti yoga, the things are not working like that, actually. The philosophy of bhakti yoga is actually very easy to be explained, but for many people, not so easy to be practiced. You have another person in front of you, and you have to understand what he likes. You have to understand his desires, his character. And then you have to endeavor, you have to do certain things, practical things, to make him happy. And the moment he becomes happy because of your endeavors, then he will reciprocate with you. And that's it. That's the whole philosophy about him. So one should find a very simple way to satisfy Krishna. And the moment he is satisfied, he will reveal himself. So it's that simple. So that's why Krishna is stressing on this point. He's saying, not through this activity, not through that activity, not through this activity. Through all these activities, you cannot achieve me. It doesn't matter how great are they.
There is no mechanical way. There is no technology
Yes.
in materialistic sense
Yes.
to attain Krishna.
Yes. But it's only through relationship.
Yeah,
And
Krishna,
this,
yeah. Krishna says that in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu there is a verse. Krishna says, "I'm become addicted." Krishna becomes addicted to the pure love of his devotees. So that's how. This is how we attract Krishna. Okay.
that's why one of the yes, he's known and seen only by the pure devotees. Exactly. That's why
Nice.
in Nectar of Devotion, one of the important qualities of devotional service is Shri Krishna Akarshini. Devotional service has the power to attract Krishna, to bind Krishna. Actually, this is the amazing potency of doing something for Krishna with love and devotion. So in the purport to verse 54, this is on the second page of the purport. Krishna, Srila Prabhupada is saying something very interesting. This is just after the verse Yasya Deve Para Bhaktir. We have in the purport, we have a verse, and then after that, Srila Prabhupada is saying, one who has unflinching devotion for the Supreme Lord and is directed by the spiritual master in whom he has similar unflinching faith can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead by revelation. One cannot understand Krishna by mental speculation. For one who does not take personal training under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, it is impossible to even begin to understand Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada is making a very strong point that also, even if we have devotion, if we don't surrender first to a great devotee of the Lord, again, Krishna, he doesn't really want to reciprocate with us. Because this is the way how Krishna is won over. First, you have to win the heart of his devotee. That's why Krishna is saying in Adi Purana, those who are saying that are my devotees are not my devotees. But if someone is a devotee of my devotee, then he is really my devotee. This is the way the things are functioning. And then a little more. The word tu is specifically used here in verse 54. Bhaktya tu ananyaya shakya. The word tu is specifically used here to indicate that no other process can be used, can be recommended, or can be successful in understanding Krishna. So Krishna is very, very, very specific. This is the only way how you can conquer over me. There is no other way.
No one wants to say something. No? Just a few minutes ago.
I said something.
You wanted to?
I wanted to say something.
Did you?
I was probably gonna say that. Was this? I don't know. At what point was I?
Anyway, just maybe I told you.
Okay.
Maybe I was wrong. Okay.
So till the end of this purport of verse 54, more or less, Srila Prabhupada is giving many quotes from different scriptures, which prove that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we can read 1, 2 of them. There are many. You can read them on your own if you did not read them. But basically, in the Vedic literature, Gopala Tapani Upanishad, the following statement appears. Sachit Ananda Rupaya Krishna Yaklishta Karine Namo Vedanta Vedyaya Gurave Buddhi Sakshine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Krishna, who has a transcendental form of bliss, eternity, and knowledge. I offer my respect to him, because understanding him means understanding the Vedas, and he is therefore the supreme spiritual master. Then it is said, Krishna vai paramam daivatam Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then in Gopalotapani Upanishad, Eko Vasi Sarvaga Krishna Idya Eko Pi San Bahuda Yo Vabati. That one Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is worshipable. Although he is one, he is manifested in unlimited forms and expanded incarnations. And so on and so on and so on. So many quotes Srila Prabhupada is dying just to convince us in this one point. The absolute reality, Krishna. We have so many conceptions. First, of course, we think that the sense gratification is God. This is like our God from our materialistic life. We are ready to worship this in a different shapes and forms and ideas. But this is our God, the sense gratification. Then if someone becomes a little bit disgusted with the sense gratification, then he makes the impersonal his God. And this is a very good idea, because basically you're frustrated from the material relationships, and now you just say, okay, now I don't have to have any relationships and I can be totally spiritual person. So it's a very easy idea to be accepted in the material world. So we make this the Supreme God, impersonal. And now Srila Prabhupada is trying to convince us that no, absolute reality is a personality. And that's why he's giving all these quotes from Veda, bam, 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 and he's giving logical arguments, and he's quoting this great personality and that great personality and this acharya, all amazing personalities, people who are recognized in the world, not just because of their spiritual strength, but because of they were materially amazing personalities, the greatest personalities in the world, so intelligent, so knowledgeable, so renowned. And all of these great personalities, they were convinced Krishna is the absolute truth. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, if they are saying it, if the Vedas are saying it, if the logic is saying it, that means Krishna, the personality of Godhead, this is the absolute. Just to convince our intelligence, because our intelligence again and again and again is trying to convince us in something else. Why? So that we surrender to sense gratification. That's the whole idea. Okay. And then we have the final verse of this chapter, which is very special verse. You have something to say? And then we can just go through some important points from the purport.
So the last verse 55 is known as the essence of Bhagavad-gita. So this verse is considered the essence of Bhagavad-gita because it gives the method for approaching Krishna. My dear Arjuna, Krishna says, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. So in his purport, Srila Prabhupada summarizes this method for approaching Krishna as follows, 5 points. First, mat karma krit. All work should be done only in relationship to Krishna. Whatever we do, we should try to connect with Krishna, no matter what. Of course, sinful activities, we cannot really connect to Krishna. So those have to be rejected. But any pious work, whatever we have to do to maintain our material existence, should be done only in the relationship to Krishna. 2, mat parama. One should not desire heavenly pleasure or liberation. His goal should be the association of Krishna in his supreme abode. So this is the goal. Prayojana, we should have our goal properly set. And then mat bhakta, one should fully engage in the 9 processes of devotional service without desire for material rewards. Sarva varjita, one should not associate with persons who are against Krishna. Very important, because this will create doubts and it will destroy our faith. And 5th, nirvaira, one should be friendly to all. Friendly to all doesn't mean that we should be friends with all. We are friends with the devotees only. But we are friendly in ordinary dealings with people. We're not unfriendly and offensive. But doesn't mean that we create this bond between us. This is reserved only for the devotees. You don't want to give your heart to some karmi because he will eat it. You know the story of the
crocodile and the monkey.
anyway.
Have you heard this story? Okay, I can tell you.
Yes.
Well, there was a crocodile and he wanted to eat one monkey. And then,
Are you sure? That's how.
well, actually, technically, his wife wanted to eat, especially the heart of a monkey, because she heard that the heart's monkey is very, very, very tasty. So she convinced the crocodile to do the job. And then he went to the monkey and he said, yeah, if you like, no problem. I can always, like, we are friends. I can always bring you from one shore to the other shore.
They were friends.
So no problem. Don't worry. And then once the monkey wanted to take advantage of the help of the crocodile and jump on his back. And when they were in the middle of the river, and then the crocodile said, okay, now I'll bring you home because my wife wants to eat your heart. And then the monkey was thinking, oh my God, what I'm going to do now? And then the monkey thought and then said, oh, so you want my heart? No problem, but you had to tell me earlier because I left it home. So let's just go back and I'll take it and then no problem. We can go and I can give it to your wife. Don't worry. And then the crocodile was so stupid that he did that. And when the monkey jumped back on the surface, said, I will never again have faith in you. I will never again have faith in you. So this story is given as an example that if we give our hearts to a non-devotee, sooner or later, they will want to eat our heart. So that's why never give your heart to a non-devotee. It doesn't matter how sweet he looks like. In the next moment, he can show his universal form, and with you, it will be over.
Universal form.
He doesn't have.
Well,
The
some
universal form is the servant.
very scary form he can show. So that's why.
Yeah,
Okay, so I would like to read few things from the purport shortly. And yeah, then maybe if you have some questions, you can write them down in the chat and we can answer to them. So in the beginning of verse 55, as Pandava Prabhu said, this is just the beginning of the purport. Anyone who wants to approach the supreme of all the personalities of Godhead on the Krishna Loka planet in the spiritual sky and be intimately connected with the Supreme Personality Krishna must take this formula as stated by the Supreme himself. So this is, Srila Prabhupada is saying this, what is given in this verse, this formula is the success in spiritual life. If we are doing these 4 or 5 things. Therefore, this verse is considered to be the essence of Bhagavad-gita. So very, very important verse, the last verse of 11th chapter. The Bhagavad-gita is a book directed to the conditioned souls who are engaged in the material world with the purpose of lording it over nature and who do not know of the real spiritual life. Bhagavad-gita is meant to show how one can understand his spiritual existence and his eternal relationship with the Supreme Spiritual Personality, and to teach one how to go back home, back to Godhead. Now, here in the verse which clearly explains the process, now here is the verse which clearly explains the process by which one can attain success in the spiritual activity, devotional service. So that was important. Then Krishna, Srila Prabhupada is discussing one by one the different parts of the verses as Pandava Prabhu explained them. First, he is speaking about Krishna karma, and he's saying that we can be engaged in any kind of activity, but this activity should be connected for Krishna. And that's why Srila Prabhupada is saying, for example, if someone wants to be engaged in business, but he considers that actually Krishna is the owner of this business, that means the profit from the business should go for Krishna. And then Srila Prabhupada is saying, so that's why instead of this big businessman to build a huge house for himself, instead of that he can build a big temple for the pleasure of Krishna and for the benefit of all people. So this is the idea. Then, yes, Mat Parama. One should make Krishna the ultimate goal of his life. And Srila Prabhupada is saying we should not want to go to the heavenly planets. We should not want to achieve impersonal liberation from our problems in the material world. Rather, we should want to achieve association with Krishna. That is the essence. One can engage in all 9 devotional processes, or 8, or 7, or at least in one, and that will surely make one perfect. So even if we are doing one thing for Krishna, but we are doing it steadily, at the end of this life we will achieve perfection just because of this one engagement, even if we are not perfect in our spiritual practice. Then, as Pandava Prabhu said, one should give up bad association. Srila Prabhupada is writing, one should disassociate himself from persons who are against Krishna. Not only are the atheistic persons against Krishna, but so also are those who are attracted to fruitive activities and mental speculation. So these groups of people, they are not desirable association for a Vaishnava. We should keep it in mind. What will happen if we associate with these people? Well, we may lose our spiritual taste for spiritual activities, for spiritual association. Like I just spoke with one devotee a few days ago, and he's a serious devotee, serious practitioner, but he went through some difficulties in his life. He basically engaged in some forbidden activities, illicit activities, and then he was doing it for some time, and somehow he was trying to kind of balance between his spiritual life and things to which he was attached, and he was hiding it, and apparently nobody knew. But then devotees start seeing that, okay, he suddenly is becoming strange, and he started coming very late in the temple, and where is he and what is he doing? And then they stopped seeing him chanting early in the morning. He was more or less associating, going through the morning program and taking prasadam, and then going very fast. That was strange because he was never doing this before. So anyway, the devotees had some doubts, but they did not reveal anything. And then after some time, by trying to live this double lifestyle, just his heart was not giving him any more to continue. Basically, he was feeling, okay, I'm cheating the devotees, what's going on, and this and that. And then he opened his heart and revealed it to some senior devotees, and they said, okay, no problem, nothing serious. And then he stopped with all the stupid things. But then, now after a few weeks, I was speaking with him and he said, yeah, now I'm feeling better. Everything is okay. But there is one problem. Now actually I'm starting to experience the real consequence, the real result from what I was doing. And I said, how is that? What was the problem? Like you stop all these things. And he said, I don't feel any taste. Now I'm doing the same things I was doing before. I'm chanting, I'm trying to go distribute some books, but the taste is not there, the taste that I was getting before. So of course we told him, don't worry, just follow strictly the process and very soon this taste will come. But this is the point. This is one big problem when we are engaging in illicit activities or when we have undesirable association, we are losing our spiritual taste. This is the problem. Yes.
You could gain it though. Like say you associate with a materialistic person, or say for preaching purposes you have conversations related to very materialistic things, where it just kind of happens back to back. You gotta follow. You start to do that type of thing. You find yourself like slipping into Maya. You could reignite that flame, right? Or is it like a process?
Yeah, well, not always when we speak with non-devotees, this is considered association. It's important thing to know. Association means this story that we said, you give your heart. You give your heart to a non-devotee, most probably he'll break it at some point, sooner or later. Now, if you just speak with someone because this is your duty, or because you have to do something with him, let's say that's your job, that's not exactly association. Association means, the definition of Rupa Goswami for association is exchanging these 6 loving exchanges with someone. So you give presents, you take presents, you give food, you accept food, you reveal your heart, and you listen confidentially what they want to reveal to you. These things make the bond between the hearts. So if you're doing this with a non-devotee, most probably very soon he'll break your heart. That's why it is advisable that this intimate relationship we have only with devotees, because they won't do that, because they are Krishna bhaktas.
As far as like taste goes, the taste won't go away simply off of associating. It's mostly like illicit activities and like aparats, right?
Well, yeah, the taste may go away even from the association. Yeah, because we become very attached to a certain association. And because our mind becomes so much absorbed in this direction, that's why I cannot enjoy any more the activities of Krishna consciousness. Basically, we became something like a depressed personalities. Your mind is so much, he became so much attached to someone or to some activity, and is so much zoom in this, that you cannot focus him on anything else. You try to chant, and automatically your mind is going again and again. Oh, how nice was with this person. We were this in this place and we were doing this and this. And I cannot live now with it, and to be so difficult. So again and again, your mind goes there. You cannot focus it on Krishna. Of course, with the time, everything can be cured, but question is how much time. Sometimes it takes years.
So it's like intimate association.
Yes.
But like simple, maybe conversations, it's not that deep.
Yes.
Okay.
You don't give your heart.
Okay.
It's like more out of duty. If it's out of duty, this is not exactly considered association. Of course, with this also should be careful, because if long time is just out of duty, at some point it may become not out of duty. Like in the movies, you have the big guy, the businessman, and he has a secretary, a nice, beautiful lady, and then out of duty he is speaking with her again and again and again and again and again and again, and suddenly he's not out of duty anymore, and suddenly he divorces his wife and send her away with the kid, and he gets this new girl, and they go to, where do they go? To Hawaii or whatever. So it happens very often, actually, in life. So that's why the idea is we have to be careful. We have to be careful. Yes, even when we are associating out of duty. Okay, and the last point Srila Prabhupada is discussing in the purport is nirvaira. A devotee of Krishna is friendly to everyone. Therefore, it is said here that he has no enemy. So sometimes devotees, they may have enemies in a sense that someone thinks that he is their enemy, but devotees from their side, they won't accept him as an enemy. That's the point. Like Yudhishthira Maharaj, he said that he was nirvaira. Apparently he had enemies because he was a king. So many people, they wanted to attack his kingdom, to take over his opulences, riches, and so on and so on. But he did not see anyone as his enemy. Rather, he was trying always to act according to Dharma, according to religious principles. Srila Prabhupada is saying, now we can imagine how merciful Krishna is to those engaged in his service, risking everything for him. Because, okay, let me just read some part from the purport. A devotee, so this is the second last purport, almost the last. A devotee situated in Krishna consciousness knows that only devotional service to Krishna can relieve a person from all the problems of life. He has personal experience of this, and therefore he wants to introduce this system, Krishna consciousness, into human society. So devotee has a personal realization that Krishna consciousness is working, it's helping. That's why he wants to give it to others. There are many examples in history of devotees of the Lord who risk their lives for the spreading of God consciousness. The favorite example is Lord Jesus Christ. He was crucified by the non-devotees, but he sacrificed his life for spreading God consciousness. Of course, it would be superficial to understand that he was killed. Similarly, in India also there are many examples such as Thakur Haridas and Prahlad Maharaj. Why such risk? So why these great personalities are risking their life so that they can give this treasure to the people? Why, Srila Prabhupada is asking? Because they wanted to spread Krishna consciousness, and it is difficult. It is difficult. A Krishna conscious person knows that if a man is suffering, it is due to his forgetfulness of his eternal relationship with Krishna. Therefore, the highest benefit one can render to human society is relieving one's neighbor from all material problems. In such a way, a pure devotee is engaged in service of the Lord. Now, we can imagine how merciful Krishna is to those engaged in his service, risking everything for him. Therefore, it is certain that such persons must reach Supreme Planet after leaving the body. So those personalities are very, very, very dear to Krishna, the preachers, because they try to bring to Krishna his lost sons and daughters. So Krishna is appreciating this service, although it's, as Srila Prabhupada is saying, it's very, very, very difficult. To make someone Krishna conscious is very, 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 very difficult. There is a story with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He, of course, he had many disciples, but in one particular case, in one disciple, he put lots of endeavors to explain the philosophy, to take care of him, to bring him in Krishna consciousness. And this devotee became serious practitioner, serious sadhaka. And then at some point, his faith became so strong, so firm, and he became so enthusiastic about Krishna consciousness that he would decide he would take sannyas. And Srila Prabhupada supposed to, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, supposed to give him sannyas soon, But then his wife came in the temple and was acting in such a way, like crying and being depressed and this and that, and for such a long time that he just could not bear this. And he took all his things and he went back home. And when Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj heard about this, he cried. And he said, I could not save this soul. So it takes lots of endeavors to, someone to really become a Vaishnava, to accept Krishna consciousness and to act as a devotee. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada was saying it takes gallons of blood to make just one person a devotee. It takes gallons of blood. So that's why Krishna is appreciating this activity so much, the job of the preachers. So these were the elements mentioned in this verse. If we work for Krishna, if we become a Krishna devotee, if we accept Krishna as the ultimate goal of life, if we avoid bad association, and if we act friendly to all living entities, not committing offenses, this is the way to go back to the spiritual world. And now let's just read the last paragraph from the last purport. I will ask Noah to read it, maybe a little strongly. This is like a conclusion of the whole chapter.
In summary, the universal form of Krishna, which is a temporary manifestation in the form of time which devours everything, and even in the form of Vishnu, four-handed, have all been exhibited by Krishna. Thus, Krishna is the origin of all of these manifestations. It is not that Krishna is a manifestation of the original Visvarupa or Vishnu. Krishna is the origin of all forms. There are hundreds and thousands of Vishnus, but for a devotee, no form of Krishna is important, but the original form, two-handed Shyamasundara. Shyamasundara. And the Brahma.
Shyamasundara means a very beautiful form of Shyama.
Shyamasundara. And
Shyama is the two-handed form of Krishna.
So the two-handed form of the two-handed form?
Yeah, means Shyama, this is the name of this form.
Okay, I'm going to finish this and then run up there because somebody's... In the Brahma Samrita, it is stated that those who are attached to the Shyamasundara form of Krishna in love and devotion can see him always within the heart and cannot see anything else. One should understand, therefore, that the purport of this 11th chapter is that the form of Krishna is essential and supreme. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 11th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad-gita in the matter of the universal form.
Haribo. So basically, yes, the conclusion of this chapter is that the two-handed form of Krishna is essential, the most essential and supreme. This is the highest manifestation of God. Shyama means bluish. Okay, nice. Yes. So the beautiful bluish form of Krishna. Do you have some questions, dear devotees? If you have, please write them and I can answer. Okay. So looks like we don't really have a questions. Okay, so we can just finish a little earlier because we went through the material for today. 11 chapter. Then next time we will deal with the last chapter from our unit. This is chapter 12. It's a short chapter, so our idea is that we'll go faster through the chapter and then we'll make a nice revision to all 6 chapters. So let's see how it will go. If let's see, we may have classes both a Sunday and Monday or just Sunday. Let's see how
and Monday we'll give you a break.
Yes, let's see how the things will develop. And then you have enough time to study both for your test and to write your essay. You have almost around a month, so enough time for these two things. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Om Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Prabhupada ki,
Jai.
Sankirtan Yagya ki,
Jai.
Gaura Premanande.
Hare
Just we don't have
Hare.
how to stop the recording. Yes. Okay. Yes.